So, I'm usually not your DM, so this is going to be the first time Sam and Steph have me as a DM.
Yeah.
And,
yeah.
Yeah. We talked about it a little earlier, but found this side quest on DM's Guild. Sounded really fun. So it fits really well into the setting. So I practically begged Mark to let me to have him not DM and have me DM. He's like, no, I want to DM all the time, every day. But I'm like, no, Mark, you deserve a break.
I demanded, in recompense, a deck of many things.
Yeah. That you can't use because you're
and
a DM.
3 wish spells.
So, I'm not really going to recap what happened last time. I think we found some orphans, or not orphans, some kids in a sewer. And we chased them. And that was kind of annoying. But the important thing is, we now have a ghost bartender. So that's always nice. So, over the next couple days, Mousy falls ill. It's like he got infected by some poison fungal spores, but who knows how he got in contact with that. And he's just sniffling and sneezing up in his room. No one wants to go near him because it's just all gross. But you spend the next couple days, preparing the tavern for the inevitable day that it opens. Worry about like how are we going to get the money and all that stuff. Especially with Mousy gone. I mean, Mousy was the brains, obviously. Now
he also had the wallet.
Yeah, he also has all the gold. And suddenly you hear a knock on the front door.
Don't everyone jump at once! God, I guess I'll get it. Sharptooth will go to the door and open it.
Or in your line of view, you basically staring at the crotch of a gigantic man, at least 6 or 7 feet tall. Maybe you're used to it because that's about how big Brutrik is. But Mark, your character is standing in the doorway, holding a tiny letter.
You see before you a very large, muscular man, not very scantily clad, but enough to show off that he's got muscles. But his sort of clothing seems to be less adventure-y and more decorated in a sense. Looking up, it does appear that has glasses on, and this towering, large, muscular man leans down and looks at Sharptooth and goes, "Oh, hello. How can I? Are you the sir or madam of the house?"
Yes, I am the sir or madam. What do you need?
Yes. Well, I certainly have this letter to deliver. I assume it's to anybody in the house? Who's the letter actually for, Joey?
On the letter, it's labeled. It's the recipient is the owners of the Trollskull Manor. Sorry,
mm-hmm.
And it's kind of a faded yellow envelope, like it's been sitting around unused for years and years. But you notice that it is sealed with blue wax with a fancy letter A imprinted onto the wax.
Oh, so Leaf or current resident?
Yeah, give it here.
Okay,
you don't see
there
any
you
of your
go.
names on it.
Sharptooth will take it and kind of like mosey back towards the rest of the group. I assume we're all just kind of like in the area. I guess even yell out, "Hey guys, there's a letter! Simon, you're good at words.
Yes.
So hand Simon the letter.
We decided if this new character and Simon knew each other in Candlekeep or not.
I think we mentioned it. I don't know if we actually decided it, but if we want to, be like, wait a second, I know that voice. Simon!
Huh?
It's me, Konan!
Ah, Konan!
Yes,
So
oh my
good to see
gosh!
such a familiar face.
Oh, I can't believe you made it all the way to Waterdeep.
Me either, actually.
I turned to everybody and was like, yeah, we sat together in, we were next to each other in lab partners in library class in Candlekeep.
Ah, yes. Last I recall, Conan was was on his way to becoming a full-fledged librarian.
Oh, yes, that was a little bit ago, and I am actually in my librarian apprenticeship.
Wow,
had
that's
me-
so foreign.
Oh no, you see, books are a wonderful thing. And I turn directly to Sharptooth and I start going on like a reading rainbow kind of tirade, love of books, being like, oh, you could be your anything in a book. You could be a scientist or a cook, or I imagine like all the fantasy settings in this thing are like professional things that would be in our world. You could be one of those people who calculates numbers for the state and do your taxes. It's amazing what books can do.
Right. Got it. So the letter.
Ah, right. Let's see here. And he opens it up and
You open up the letter. And on a similarly faded yellow parchment, you see the following.
Would you like me to read it for you? I am quite the orator.
No, I've got this. Let's see. Dear newly appointed proprietors of Trollskull Manor, my name is Alzaban Ikul, and I became quite interested in learning Trollskull Manor was once again open for business, or rather will be once you obtain the appropriate funds. You see, in my younger days, I frequented the Trollskull Tavern to visit my good friend Leaf, who was taken from us all too soon. Let's see, gotta drolls on a bit. You need dragons, and I happen to know some juicy tidbits that will guide you closer to the fabled dragon hole. Why does he believe we're looking for that? Let's see. Let's see. I know of your exploits in rescuing young Rainier, so on and so forth. I would like very much for you over for dinner at my estate on the outskirts of the city. I prefer my privacy these days, so I'm fear I might be, but a bit of a walk, bit of a typo. There we discuss your past adventures and lay out plans to obtain the Dragon Hoard. We'll all be rich. Signed, Alzaban Ikul, Master Mage and Alchemist Extraordinaire. Sharptooth, he apparently is also hoping to get your autograph.
Of course.
While you were reading that, Brutrik walked up behind you, now is leant over so his face is right beside Simon's, reading the letter.
Yes, like so. Ah!
Sorry, Simon. I was just getting a better look.
Yeah. And hands him the letter to read for his own.
Well, the one thing I don't like about that letter is that he says that we can do all the work and then we share the kind of... I've had a manager before. We did everything. He just took all the money and ran. I just think about it, but let's go get some good eats. That's my
I would suggest drawing up a contract, as while that's not necessarily someone's going to run, but you'll be able to get recompense if you negotiate a very good contract.
I don't see why you all don't just trust he'll do the right thing.
I can't even understand 1/4 of the words coming out of this man's mouth.
Oh well, which quarter? I can work on that 25%.
25.
That's what a quarter is.
Oh, I'll think about it.
You know, it's kind of like quarter notes, which are 1/4 of a note.
I never learned to read music. I just play by instinct.
Oh, well, you should go to your local library. They've got books about notes and music and famous musicians.
Oh, at this library, you say? Well,
Yeah.
that's pretty good. Well, anyways, what does everyone think about this? Simon, let it read.
Oh, well, I wouldn't hurt to hear him out. And admittingly, free dinner.
Joey, am I delivering this directly from Alzaban?
Oh, we had talked that it got delivered to the wrong address, so you.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Just bringing it over.
So I bring that up. Yeah, so I got this letter by mistake. It's so nice to... what a coincidence that we got Simon here. I think they thought I was Simon the Librarian and not Konan the Librarian.
Aha! Well, we do certainly look alike.
I know. It's just going back to like library days, and we'd sit back to each other, and we'd basically swap hats, and nobody could tell us apart.
That was such a jest.
That's not great.
You are wearing very similar glasses.
I'm wearing
From
glasses.
upstairs.
Take my glasses off. Oh yes, I am. I always forget about those. I put them back on.
From upstairs, you just hear a horrible hacking halfling cough as Mousy
Oh dear,
just
what's
coughing
that?
up a lung.
Oh, that's a friend, Mr. Brown up there. He ended up apparently inhaling some mushroom spores that are giving him quite the cough.
Oh, that's not good. But I mean, what's that? And I point over to what I assume is a ghost behind the bar that I've never seen.
Oh, that's Leaf.
He was in the letter.
Oh, I wave.
He goes, looks up from cleaning his glass. He gives a little wave back. Gives a friendly smile.
He's a nice guy.
Yes, indeed. The previous owner.
Oh, yeah. Wouldn't he continue to still be the owner if he's still here?
I've brought up that quandary as well, but I was quickly told that it's ours now. Right,
right.
Choptooth?
Right.
Well,
Paperwork saying it.
well,
It's all in writing.
I assume that I'm going to be accompanying them to said thing. I can't really think of a way to make myself sort of imply that I should join them. So I will let Joey, you come up with something.
I think Simon should invite you to catch up on old times.
That's fair.
Hey,
Simon used to beat me up and take my lunch money. I'm just kidding. He just threatened me and I'd give it to him.
I did not.
Well, one time.
I asked if you could spot me a bit because I'd lost my purse.
Yes, and you were very threatening when you did say that, and it was very scary. But I know you were just in a tough spot, and you had very good chicken nuggets that day.
Well, I can be rather intimidating when I want.
You can.
Candlekeep, known for his chicken nuggets. World famous.
Nobody has a clue where the chickens come from.
Oh god, they're abyssal chickens, aren't they?
That means they're spicy. Spicy chicken nuggets. So, attached to the letter is another piece of parchment with a map and instructions on it. You can tell quite easily it's if you leave the confines of Waterdeep. Was it to the Undercliff? It was called.
Undercliff is the farmland just outside of the city.
So beyond the Undercliff, a few miles outside town, this directions to his manor, and you think it won't be a very long trip, but he did invite you over for dinner.
Oh, his chicken nuggets are as good as Candlekeep's.
So should we just start trucking over there now?
1 second, I gotta make Mousy a bowl of soup first, so he's okay while we're gone. Brutrik makes soup and gives it to Mousy.
You spent hours making soup, just perfect. And Mousy's like, "Oh no, you shouldn't have gone through the trouble." Oh.
I imagine your voice is like, because you're congested, you've got like a sore throat, and your voice just comes out naturally like Rat King.
Yeah, I was about to say, it's like, oh, my voice just sounds so deep, naturally deep now.
And threatening. Oh, you sound just like the Rat King. But you probably already know that because you're such good friends. Anyway.
Yeah, I get that a lot.
We're gonna head out and go find, go have dinner with somebody that might get us money.
What money? Where are you going?
I don't really know, but I'm gonna follow this new guy, Konan, the Librarian. He's a friend of
What? Librarian? I should maybe send the Rat King with you, so... Okay, well, maybe I'm too sick to even get out of bed, let alone call the Rat King.
That's
you
fair.
you have fun.
You want me to bring any food back from the supper for you? You know, if there's leftovers.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
All right. Brutrik is downstairs where everyone has been waiting for hours. All right, everyone. Mousy seems terrible, but I think that soup will really help.
I used to read books called Chicken Soup for the Halfling Soul. Probably good for him, too.
How does soup help your soul?
No, I think it was a metaphor. A metaphor is like a simile.
Although there is also, if I recall, there's also a chapter in there using alchemy.
Oh, I mean, if you want to get technical, that was in the revised edition.
True.
I cannot wait to walk 4 hours with you two talk.
Don't worry, Brutrik. I'm there too.
You just called me your own names.
The next few hours are going to be awesome talking to you guys.
I show a couple of things that I've got. I always carry a couple books on me. I've got this book that I borrowed from the Candlekeep about running a bookstore. I want to run a bookstore one day. And then I've got this other book discussing manners and etiquette. Oh, I better start reading that to see. I don't know what kind of house we're going to. Oh, boy. Chapter 3, Chicken Nuggets Etiquette.
Just put them all in your mouth. That's the etiquette for chicken nuggets.
Don't swallow.
So you're
Use
wondering
the
what kind
second fork from the left.
that's the nugget fork. So as you're worrying about oh no, what forks do I use? I'm so unprepared. You eventually do come up to the mansion, although there is no description in this page for what it looks like. It looks like a pretty old building. Like it hasn't been kept up with in a long time, but is nonetheless very fancy. It's 2 stories tall, even though this looks like it's 3.
That's the attic.
Yes, the attic.
Wow,
And,
that's beautiful.
Got like
There's
like
a-
little mini candlekeep towers. It's just like home.
And there's a nice little path leading to the carved twin doors on the at the front.
Sharptooth is gonna run like and just bang on the door.
Thank you, Sharptooth. I've still been a little bit worried since that one time.
He just wants in to escape the two librarians.
Let me in. Let me in.
Talking about books.
Make it stop.
I didn't know there was so many things to talk about books, but they've been doing it for 3 hours.
Simon asked him for a list of all of the new books that have arrived since he last was there.
I'd probably have like a magical ledger that just brings up like the latest sort of thing, so I could just take it out and keep reading. It updates magically.
Brutrik would have asked you to repeat a couple, but he missed some, so you would have had to start over again a couple of times.
Ah!
Yeah. Sharptooth at the door.
So, the carved wooden door opens with a hearty creak. Initially, sorry, this text is a little small. Initially, it appears a butler in a ragged coat is there to greet you. However, while it has roughly the form of a human, you quickly notice that there is no body within the clothes, at least not a visible one. With a gloved hand, it beckons you inside.
Sharptooth very if that thing goes recognize faces, as it opened the door, it was a heavy breathing Sharptooth with big sad eyes looking up at it.
It just cocks its head ever so slightly, and once again beckons you inside.
Thank God! Thank the gods!
As soon as you step in, we start. We continue talking, but like the room just echoes, so it comes right, you hear everything 2 or 3 times now. Sharptooth.
Library voice.
Oh yeah. Sorry. Just get so excited about books.
What's a library voice?
It's the voice you use when you're in a library, which is very quiet because people are. It's well-known scientific fact that people can't read when there's noise around. So you try to reduce it as much as possible.
Oh, okay.
Try your monastery voice.
As this invisible butler welcomes you inside, you notice you're in the entry hall of the mansion.
Are we supposed to have minis, or I'm sorry, tokens, or are you just describing the hall?
No tokens quite yet.
Okay, just making sure.
There's a massive fireplace set into the far wall that would be rather inviting were it lit. Instead, it sits cold, with only the ashes from a long extinguished flames resting within. You can tell from the fine tiled floor and
Ornate?
ornamental molding, that no expense was spared constructing this mansion. Curiously, the foyer is rather reserved in its decor. You don't see much in the way of priceless art or expensive furniture. There's a door in the western wall of the hallway.
The butler going to lead us somewhere, or this is just like a doorman butler?
He does wait for you all to enter the hall. As you're all admiring it, one of you starts to step forward to explore further, but he puts up a hand and stops you and points to a sign near the wall that says, "In the spirit of camaraderie, friendship, and hospitality, please leave your weapons with the attendant." And he outstretches his hand as if expecting something.
Brutrik hands over his spear.
Yeah, Sharptooth will like just be like, yeah, and toss the daggers and the crossbow.
Oh, and Brutrik also has throwing knives to give.
Simon doesn't have any weapons to hand over.
I'll give over my greatsword and my javelin, all my javelins. I will hold up my sling, because I confiscated a slingshot from a troublemaking kid at the library. I don't really consider it a weapon, but I hold it up and I'm like, you mean this too? It can kind of be a weapon.
Cocks his head and looks at it, and then simply turns around. Places the weapons neatly in one of the corners.
Does he
And
take my
gives a
sling?
little- He does not take the sling.
Okay, put it back.
He gives a little bow, as if to say, "Thank you."
I will awkwardly bow back.
A big weight off your shoulders, literally, with that great sword gone.
Only 6 pounds.
And he gestures to the room on the east. I noticed a few typos because it said there's only one door, but there's clearly 2 doors here. But he gestures to the door on the east and does the following motions with hand once more, and he begins to walk through the door. He opens the door and welcomes you into it.
And follow after.
Yep.
Go.
Brutrik is also following.
Ooh, I read about this in a murder mystery once.
I don't care.
This appears to be a sitting room. 3 high-backed chairs are loosely arranged around a low table. A few books have been stacked like building blocks on it. In this formation, the small volumes resemble an ancient dolmen, which I looked up, and it's kind of like a pedestal of holding a book, I believe. Grime coats a large window that overlooks a weed-infested, overgrown front lawn.
I'm going to admire the pedestal. Is it actually holding a book, or is it just the pedestal thing itself?
It's holding a book.
Does it have a title or anything?
It appears to be open.
I won't spend time reading it, but I'll take at a glance. Can I recognize if it's like a rare book or like an old book?
Yeah, history.
First roll of the game. Natural 20. All downhill from here. 26.
Yeah. You catch a quick glance at one of the pages, and it appears to be a history of the mansion. But the servant, as you start walking towards, kind of gets in front of you and just gives a little, like, no.
Oh, sorry. I am a very I'm a fan of book. They sometimes capture my attention and everything else gets blacked out. I will follow.
Sharptooth, you being lower to the ground, notice that this room has a lot of mouse holes. on the bottom of the wall.
Does anyone else knows the holes?
Those are called
Like-
doorways.
I'm not that stupid. I would have said doorway. I'm not confused by that word. But on the bottom, there's like a whole bunch of like mouse holes. It's like if the Rat King were to have lived here. Maybe this is where the Rat King lives.
Oh my gosh. The Rat King
You look
invite you all
around.
to his mansion?
You look around and you do notice that there are literally nearly 24 rat holes in the walls.
Hey Siri, stop. Give me a couple minutes, and I just need to rinse out my hair. So, describe the rat holes. I will be back, or just continue. I'll be back in a few minutes.
No, we'll wait a couple minutes.
The 17th rat hole has noticed.
So these, so the first rat hole is a pretty darn good rat hole. Next one, B+, B-.
Just skipped over the C.
The third one though,
Notice
Oh
the
my
curvature.
rat royalty must live in this rat hole.
But by
It's
fourth
funny.
grade, they lost.
There's a tiny crown above it. So either
Yeah,
mouse royalty or a very tiny Zizix.
it is where the Rat King lives. You're like, does he turn into a rat when we don't see him? Is that how that guy works?
Does he explode into a cloud of rats?
That's
Actually,
like how Spider-Man can control spiders, right?
actually, this isn't really a spoiler or anything, but like he became, when he leveled up, Rat King became a swarm ranger, which means he can control swarms of animals, small animals, or face spirits.
Oh, whoa.
So that was the intent behind the character, was so I can become this and I can control a swarm of rats as my as it's kind of like a superpower.
Now that's like a legitimate like superhero.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it took a couple levels, but it's cool because they also get magic spells because of it, which you can flavor into being part of the swarm. So they get like Mage Hand, which is like a magical way to pick up stuff. But in this case, it's like the little rat will go up there, pick it up for you, and take it back and stuff like that.
You've become a Cinderella.
Yep. And I can use the swarm to move people, to like gather up an enemy and push them away.
Disney Princess
Stuff
Rat
like
King.
that. Yep.
Downside is all of them sing whenever they do something
Yeah.
for you.
I have to be singing a princess song though whenever I do it.
That'd be amazing.
It's about the constant adventure that's out there, and you're stuck in here.
Yeah.
I'm back.
Oh my god, ran under clip.
He's back.
Yes, so I'm back, and I love how my hair got good coverage with this coat, and my hair currently looks like I dipped in Cheetos.
Why do you have a coat on top of your hair?
So the invisible butler opens up the door on the east and invites you through.
Anytime a door opens, Sharptooth is like thinking Rat King's gonna be like in the room sitting there.
What do you mean by music, Mark?
The audio's not playing for me. I don't know if it's.
I got
playing
it.
For you. Oh, Joey, could you stop and start it?
Go to another map anyway, but
Well, either way, it's fine. Cool, thank you.
so he leads you into a hallway with a number of connecting doors and a stairway heading up to the second floor.
We'll just keep following.
He slowly begins making his way up the stairs.
Because Sharptooth saw the rat doors, can he be on the lookout for anything else that's like kind of weird?
Rat doorish.
Any rat doorish things, or
You give me a
There's like Tom and Jerry things where there's actually a door on the mouse hole.
yeah, give me a perception check as you walk into the hall. Yeah, shoot. 21. You notice on the doorway to the south that you see there, you think you see some vines coming out of it, like tiny little vines. Or like little bits of weed.
hey guys, I think there's a garden over there.
Brutrik turns his head around and just like stares at it very obviously while walking.
Oh, maybe it's a conservatory.
He just continues to follow the servant.
He's like looking impatient as you all study this door.
I imagine I just at least I glance at it as I'm walking, and I probably bump into him as if he stops to look at the rest of us.
Sorry, just very interesting house you got here.
Make your way up to floor 2.
Getting more intense.
Yeah.
No, in house. This isn't a tent.
Oh, heck. Aren't all houses tents?
So you see more doorways in this hallway, and but you do notice a very ugly carpet laid across the narrow part of this hallway.
Is it ugly as in just like old and ragged, or is it ugly like Christmas sweater ugly?
You look down, and the pattern's really gaudy.
Hmm.
It might have looked nice at one point, but you notice there's like little burn marks and holes all over it.
I lean over to Simon and be like, maybe we should send him a copy of a book about interior decorating.
Indeed.
Sharptooth's gonna lean over and be like to Simon and say, if we could get a carpet like this in our tavern, that would be great.
It looks expensive.
Just like us.
Right.
The butler just continues to walk down the hallway to this room right here. He opens up the door. He makes one final gesture for you to enter.
Thank you. Sure. I'll just walk in.
Brutrik walks over, gives a little bow, and walks in.
He bows back. So you find yourself in the dining room. Although candles have been carefully placed and a fire roars in the small fireplace, a gloom still hangs over the area. The poor lighting does much to disguise the deep scratches in the floorboard, in the numerous stains on the tablecloth, in the thin layer of grime that seems to cover everything in this house. A haggard human with long, unkempt beard sits at the head of the table. He wears an old-fashioned dark blue robe, covered in yellow moons and stars. A large amulet inscribed with alchemy symbols hangs around his neck. He does not get up when you enter, but does gesture for you to sit down. A grand feast has been prepared, and you smell the garlic and rosemary seasoning emanating from a platter of roast game hens. Well-prepared cheese plates and vegetable trays look equally appetizing. It appears a course of gelatin rounds. It appears a course of gelatin rounds out the meal as several 6-inch cubes are arranged near the center of the spread.
It's like
And
so it's like Jello. what you mean by gelatin?
Yeah.
So okay.
yeah,
Brand names.
so the wizard kind of gestures and goes, "Ah, seems my guests have arrived. Please take a seat."
Thank you. Simon, tell him I'm here with you.
I would get up to greet you, but my knees, they hurt so much.
That's okay.
Brutrik sits down as well.
Same.
You can seat yourself wherever you like.
Yeah.
Except on the table. Must be in a chair.
Not beside Simon and Konan.
I'll probably be close enough to Simon that I can talk to him.
Okay.
These are 5-foot chairs.
Yeah, they're big.
Finally, something that fits Brutrik.
Like a bed for sure.
We're like Lalafels in human-sized chairs.
I do like my large furniture.
Oh,
Have
you
you-
should.
Oh,
Go ahead.
Have you talked to this bed guy? He makes really large beds. You should probably check him out.
Next time I'm in Waterdeep, I shall. But where are my manners? I am Alzaban de Cool.
A pleasure.
Ah, pleasure's yours. Little joke I do. But all I know of you is that you're the new owners of Troll Skull Manor. I don't quite know your names yet.
Well, I am.
Except for Mr. Sharptooth, of course. I did hear. It was in all the papers. You see.
Yeah, I sure am. Knee deep and water deep. That one talks about me a lot.
Indeed. Quite the famous one. That. I'm Simon, and this large guy friend here is Brutrik. And my esteemed colleague Konan, though he is not one of the actual owners of the place, he simply helped deliver your letter. Our fourth member, Mr. Brown, was unable to attend due to being a tad sick.
He is
Mousy Brown.
something like you wouldn't believe.
I hope it's okay if I stand in for him. I know I'm quite taller than him, but I don't mean
I
to
do
impose.
recognize. I do recognize the name Mousy Brown from the broadsheet that I so enjoy. I make sure to get my copy every week.
Indeed.
But Mr. Konan, you're so very large that you're more than welcome at my table. And Mr. Brutrik, did he introduce Brutrik?
Yeah.
I think he did.
Yes.
Mr. Brutrik, you also are quite the large one. I've never had the pleasure of dining with a bugbear before.
Brutrik looks around hesitantly and says, thank you? Is it okay if I use my regular voice now?
Yes.
Okay.
No need to whisper here. And Mr. Sharptooth, I've been a fan of your music ever since I was a young boy. This old man says to you with the wrinkly skin and a long white beard.
My music is timeless, and
Apparently.
it's not gonna. It's nice to meet you. Apparently, you knew Leaf when he wasn't dead. At this
Yes.
point, I think we could have. His ghost works at the tavern now. You can come say hi. We
Oh.
probably should have asked anything about you to Leaf before we left. Thinking about that, so we don't repeat questions.
I know. I remember much about my old friend Leaf as, things like he owned a bar, and despite the name, he was not actually green.
I also thought that.
See,
I saw him
me and
before he
you-
came here. He has a bit of a green tint nowadays.
Yes,
think it's
ghosts
more-
will do that, but this food is just going to waste. Please, my friends, dig in.
Sharptooth is ravagingly going to eat the food.
Ravenously.
It will also ravage the food, but in a much slower, calmer pace.
Simon
In
knows
front of
what a
you.
knife and fork are.
Yeah. So
Conan's
in
gonna
front
do
of you,
it. Well, Conan's gonna do a bit where he takes his napkin as like proper etiquette, but it's kind of like instead of doing the proper thing of putting it in his lap, he kind of like fluffs it out and then puts it in his shirt, hanging from his shirt collar.
Like a bib.
Yeah.
so 1% of your chest is protected.
Pretty much. If it's a tiny cocktail napkin, yeah.
And it's more a cravat than a napkin.
He's the evil one.
So in front of you are pretty much what you expect: little saucers, a glass for each of you, filled with wine, and your standard utensils. Way too many to remember what they all do, but you see your knives and your forks and your spoons.
I take
And,
out my etiquette book and I put it open on my lap and just try and stealthily and slyly sort of just like whenever something comes up, I'll just try to go to that page and figure out what to do.
Got to make sure you use the correct soup spoon for the soup.
Yes. Oh, that's a fork. Spoon.
Are you enjoying your hen?
Quite good. Quite. Are these 11 herbs and spices I taste?
My secret recipe. He just
Actually good.
watches. It's the food is delicious from what you're tasting.
Brutrik doesn't say anything. He just looks up and nods while he keeps eating and then goes back down.
Quite scrumptious, thank you.
Alzamon is just eagerly watching you all. He's barely touching his food. She takes a little nibble of a cheese here and there.
Sharptooth is going to say, "Are you done with that?"
Oh, please.
And then Sharptooth will eat whatever on their plate.
What?
So I.
Go ahead, Simon.
If only one of us was smart enough to do an insight check right now.
What flavor is the gelatin?
It looks to be green.
It is green.
Give me a perception check.
Perception.
Gelatinous cube flavored.
10.
You kind of lean over, try to get a look at it, and you notice that these jellies have little smiley faces. On
Gelatin jigglers.
He goes,
What?
Oh, you noticed my jellies, did you?
Yeah,
Looking at my
jigglers.
jellies?
But I mean, it sounds worse than it is. But yes, I was admiring your jellies.
I wouldn't try eating those. You see, they're a little invention that I whipped up in my laboratory. You know how cleaning is such a hassle, right? And
I've
he
heard, yes.
purposely takes a bit of bread, crumbles it up, and throws some of the crumbs in the middle of the table. He goes, "Watch this." And one of the little gelatin cubes kind of plops out of the little holding tray. It begins oozing over the crumbs. You see the crumbs kind of disintegrate into it. And he goes, my little jellies keep my table clean.
Oh, they kind of look like food, so
Don't eat them!
I'm not going to eat them. I'm just saying maybe putting them out with the main course. Not necessarily the best.
But then I'll have to go get them when it's over. I just rather keep them here. So are you enjoying your meal? Are you enjoying your meal?
Yes.
Yeah.
Simon's idly watching one of the Jellos eat a biscuit.
Yeah. He gets a little too close to one of the spoons and starts to disintegrate, kind of like the spoon begins to melt inside of it. He goes, "Oh, you have to keep your silverware away from it." But now that we have full bellies, I would love to hear of your adventures in Waterdeep. I haven't been able to get out there in years because of my bad back, you see.
I'm sorry that both your knees and your back hurt.
I used to be a big deal in the various mages guilds there.
I'd actually like to do if I can, a history check of some sort to see if I remember anything reading about this person at all.
Sure.
Natural 1, never heard of him.
Never heard of him.
Still don't know about him.
He kind of adjusts his hat when he says that. But I'd like to get to know up and comers in the city. And you lot seem to be up and comers. Wouldn't you agree?
Well, I suppose, depending on the how well the tavern goes, I guess.
And I myself, I'm not part of the tavern, but I'm looking to start my own bookstore in Waterdeep. It's same kind of thing, right, Mr. Sharptooth?
Not at all. I consider this more of a comeback for me.
Well, you've no doubt heard of the Dragon's Hoard, the legendary fabled treasure of Waterdeep. I know you got yourself mixed in with a few of the crime syndicates. That's what my little grapes on the grapevine have told me.
Well, we did come across a couple of ne'er-do-wells when doing a job for a chap named Volo. He, though, apart from finding a missing person, we haven't really been actively seeking such a treasure.
So you know Volo, what too? Me and him go way back. We were best friends, actually. I helped him write his book.
I read that book.
In fact, I pretty much wrote all of it because of my vast knowledge of things.
Oh.
You have. Now I'm doing an
Yes.
insight check. Nope,
You
I'm
haven't
leaving
heard
it.
of. Yeah,
What type
you
of
have no
thing?
reason to.
I didn't read the book. What was that book about?
Oh, it's about magic, creatures, magic, and alchemy, the mixing of potions.
Are you sure? His book was mostly about describing monsters around the world.
Oh, yes, of course, I've written so many books I get them confused. See, in my old age,
I do that
bad
with
brain
songs all the time.
sometimes, you see.
I'm sorry.
I sometimes get forgetful.
Of course.
So you say you're not interested in the Dragon Horde?
No. We're totally interested in the Dragon Horde. We just don't know how to go about it.
We are.
Yeah, that would be really helpful.
Simon, think how many books you could buy with the 500,000 dragons.
I said that does sound tempting. Yes.
So, tell me, what is your plan to obtain the Dragon Horde?
Someone will just walk up to us, tell us where to go get it, and we go get it. Or we show up at a shiny new mansion, and they tell us how to go get it, and then we get it.
I mean, I've read lots of books about Waterdeep, and it seems like nobody knows really where the stash is. There's a lot of guesswork and investigations, but nobody's really had a good solid way to zero in on it.
He's just smiling and nodding and looking at each of you. Go on.
Well, who's to say that someone hasn't found it already? I doubt anybody would advertise that they've discovered such a treasure trove. Uh, but because after all, if anybody knows where it is, then they would have already gotten it.
It is
Trick
also
Konan.
embezzled money, so they might want to keep it a secret so they don't have to give it back to the city.
And we don't pay taxes on it.
That too, yeah.
Brutrik and Konan, give me a perception check.
The tall ones. Ooh. 21 for
Both
Konan.
notice the chairs are a lot more spacious than they were a few seconds ago.
Huh.
Nothing wrong.
No,
I'm just-
when you say notice, does it feel like it's I guess I'd have to do something to continue.
Doesn't feel as cramped.
Yeah.
This feels cramped. I want everyone to give me a perception check now.
I am distracted by the newfound spaciousness of the chairs.
What chairs?
Tooth and Brutrik, because of your huge ears, you notice that there's some pipes along the top of this room, and you hear a hissing coming from them, like as if something's being released.
Oh, I think one of your pipes is leaking, mister.
Oh, look at that! Say, everyone feeling okay? Feeling all right? And you notice that Azkaban seems to be getting bigger in his seat, just growing larger and larger.
Does he seem to be growing, or do we seem to be shrinking? Can we tell that?
Give me another perception.
Yeah. 8.
Well,
Wow,
you
are we
stare
in
for a
one?
moment. You stare for a moment. It's like, why is this guy getting bigger? But then you notice that the chair you're in is getting larger too, and so is the entire room. And everyone seems to be getting bigger, except for Sharptooth, Brutrik, Simon, and Konan.
Oh no.
What's going on? What's going on?
And Azkaban is just roaring in laughter. And just before you're out of reach of the table, before you get any smaller, you all take a leap onto the table. And you start shrinking smaller and smaller and smaller.
Oh no, everybody.
Oh God!
So where were you sitting? Conan was here.
Yep.
Brutrik was here. Sharptooth was here. Simon was here. Alciban, as he's laughing, just goes, "No, my dear guest, you haven't taken leave of your senses. You entered my home proud and powerful, but now you are but toys humbled by my magic. Marvel at my powers and despair at your predicament.
What?
Feel free to skulk around the grounds like the common pest you are. The
What?
remainder of your lives shall be short, as you find yourselves now. However, I do hope you take some solace in the fact that you will soon be a footnote in my research."
What?
He stands up from his table. The whole table shakes as you try to, keep your footing. And he's cackling, laughing. He just walks out.
No, yes.
You had that
You all
ready?
sound like that now.
Sorry, no, I'm not going to keep that up.
I forgot
He
you had
goes,
the voice modulators.
And he says, you took, and his voice is just thundering now. And he goes, "You took interest in my jellies. Well, now they are about to take an interest in you." And the jellies from the platter plop out of the thing.
Oh, well, oh,
Oh.
they're adorable.
Let's roll initiative.
Gosh dang it. What the heck?
I'm going to click your character.
Shoot, I don't have my initiative thing up. My initiative.
Yeah,
marker
don't
up.
have the macros.
Sharptooth did get 18.
Tooth.
Mine says you wanted to send this result to this roll to the tracker, but no valid token was selected.
You didn't have your icon clicked.
Yeah, I do.
If you roll again, it'll put it on there, and then you can edit the number after.
Yeah, it's a better number. Wait, what?
Brutrik, is it not working for you?
You have to click on your token.
Right. See how Does that work?
Yep, there you go.
Yeah.
A little moot because you all are weaponless right now.
Is my guitar?
Did you give your guitar?
As these gelatinous cubes start to ooze toward you.
I think we should run.
It seems a bit far to the ground.
Don't worry,
So
Simon.
you have fun.
What? I can't hear you over the salt shaker.
I
Okay, is it like one story from the table to the chair?
You all kind of look down. From your perspective, the floor seems about 40 feet down, and the chair seems about halfway, about 20 feet.
Not really big.
Isn't the distance
Simon,
from...
you do a quick calculation, and you think that if it was 1 inch at your normal size, it's about 1 foot at this size.
We've shrunk 12-fold.
That's cheating using math.
I deal with words, not.
So Sharptooth, what do you do?
Oh, I don't even think he needs to listen. I am going to get close. I wonder if I can reach it with Earth Tremor. It's only 10 feet though. Dang it.
You're not working.
30 feet? Walking? It's too far.
About 45 feet away from the nearest one.
Yeah.
Brutrik's the closest.
I'm thinking, oh, okay. I'm gonna use sleep. 90-foot range. I didn't have. I'm gonna cast sleep.
You learned that from Simon.
Yes. Plays the most mellow of bass.
Play the
So
lullaby song.
Roll 5 d8s.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty good. 25. So, remind me, sleep, I need to... I basically minus the HP of an enemy.
So
If they run...
you take the roll. You take the lowest HP of an enemy or a creature that is affected by the spell. And if it is less than or equal to the HP, it falls asleep. You then decrease the total by that amount.
Yeah.
And continue with the next
goes by HP.
the next lowest. Yeah.
So, nothing happens. You sing this mellow tune, but the cubes continue to move towards you. They are very sturdy.
Oh, dear.
You probably don't have ears.
They only have eyes and smiles.
They start to sing along. It's real cute.
Oh, gross.
Konan, what do you do?
I am freaking out because all I have right now is my sling, and hey, I'm not very dexterous, so that's not going to work. I want to look at the silverware next to me. Can I pick up any of those as a and use it as a weapon?
I was just going to suggest that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I pick up a steak knife and treat it as some sort of weapon?
So you do see a fork. Near you see fork, steak knife. See a teaspoon.
That right there, that's piercing, slashing, and bludgeoning damage.
See some toothpicks around.
I'll probably pick up the knife.
Right, you pick up the steak knife. Add a great sword to your inventory.
Yes, it's the weapon I started with,
That's
so I don't have to do anything. And with that, I'm probably too far away to do anything. I'm gonna run over to try and protect Simone. And I don't want to rage because I can't make an attack unless I attack Simone. So I will just take the dodge action.
Almost picking up that thing didn't count as an action.
Either, if it's up to you. If not, I will. Yeah, I assumed it's interact with object. It's just a very large object. To get one free one of those every combat round.
Little one oozes towards you, Brutrik. And a part of the jelly, little pseudopod, reaches out to attack you. 22 hits.
Yes.
You take 11 acid damage.
Ouch.
And you quickly realize these, 4 of these things might very easily overwhelm you.
Oh boy, we need to run away right now, everyone. I can't even punch it without burning my hands.
I second that. I shout out.
Brutrik's gonna run over to. Chef Truth, you're gonna get separated. Well, no, because is Konan probably kind of strong?
Konan is a barbarian, so he is very strong. Although he is playing against type, he is very smart.
He's a librarian.
Yes.
There's a very copyrightable difference.
60%. So, Brutrik's gonna run over to Sharptooth, because it looks like Simon and his buddy from school can have it. So I'm just gonna make a.
Not one-shotting you. I'm going to say there is no attack of opportunity.
Yeah.
And she could disengage, so.
Yeah, disengage. There you
So I can make it 40 feet because I have the unarmored. Okay.
Can you move your token?
I'm just double checking. Because I have unarmored movement, I can move 40 instead of 30, right?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay.
It will say your movement up at the top of your character sheet. Beside proficiency bonus and hit points.
Yeah.
It's definitely 40. Okay, cool.
Yeah. And if you ever have anything that's like a swim speed, a climb speed, or a fly speed, you just click on it and it'll show you the other speeds that you have.
Perfect.
I must say, I don't think it was designed for these things to reach you in one turn. So, Brutrik, you can put your hit points back. But you still get the sense that, these things are powerful.
Yeah.
So as you see it oozing towards you, you take a dash and avoid its little tendrils.
He lost all the hair on his arm, so it just looks like a really big guy's arm, like naked.
Yeah.
Oh no, hairless Chewy.
Well,
Alright, I will let you decide what you guys want to do.
So if we want to do this before it can get to us, I would probably, if Simon would let me, I would grab him and jump for the nearest chair.
If by allow you mean be surprised and scream being flung through the air, then yes.
So I would do that. I would probably, because it's 20 feet down, if we hit the chair, I would probably rage to take the to half the bludgeoning damage, because I don't want to be hurt. And I would try and land with I would on my back so that Simon lands on top of me to try and cushion his fall. If you will let me do those things.
You purposely try to land on your back?
I will try to make it so. I mean, yeah, I got to protect Simon.
For this, I'm going to do. Since you're rating 20 feet, the rules are every 10 feet is 1d6.
1d6. So yeah, I will rage for a turn. Let me ping that. You see me even with the steak knife. I take out anybody looking. You hear out of something as a page is ripped in half out of some book that's in this thing, and Konan gets really, really mad and rages.
You take 3 falling damage.
Which would be
as
bludgeoning.
Bludgeoning. You get it from falling.
Yes.
From gravity damage.
You're safely on the chair, and you can, from the various curves in the leg and stuff like that, you can probably make your way down without jumping. If you take your time.
Yeah, I basically wanted to get everybody away from the line cubes, and I will shout out to Brutrik and Sharktooth, aim for the chair! Get to the chair! Because I can't do it, get to the chopper.
Brutrik takes heed, and I imagine this as well. Didn't run and then stop and then run again. It's all one continuous run from the center. He grabs Sharktooth without consent and just jumps for the chair.
I will say also, you do still have all your gear. It's just your weapons that you don't have anymore.
I definitely have your rope.
I'm a barbarian, so what do I have other than my weapons?
That's what I mean. If you still have rope,
right.
For example.
We're gonna use that rope.
Yeah. I think it would be.
What are we tying it to?
Well, there's all the food and stuff on the table, right? There's dishes and silverware.
Maybe a wine glass type thing, or a
Goblet. Yeah. I'd like to tie around this thing on the table, and then we can rappel down. But I will lose my rope, but it seems worth it at this point.
I will say,
one later.
Brutrik, you are about 8 inches tall, so you're kind of about the size of one of these glasses. You don't think if you tie this to it, it's necessarily going to hold your weight. by itself.
But look for the heaviest thing around.
Oozes are slowly.
Because what if
So
getting
Brutrik's
towards you at this
arm
point.
length is 20 inches, right?
I'm sorry.
Brutrik's arm length is 20 inches
fingertip to fingertip?
from fingertip to fingertip? Because he has a 10-foot arms, right? So if he stretches
I mean,
out,
gameplay wise, yeah.
So could Sheptith use him as a rope?
as a bridge.
Well, like one of those monkeys in a barrel.
Yeah.
On the edge of the table and then swing around and then grab the edge of the chair and then Sharptooth runs across his arms. And then we get on the
Okay,
chair.
not quite. I will say, if you dangle off the side, Sharptooth will only have to fall 10 feet instead of 20.
Okay.
How about that?
Do that, maybe, probably.
Mhm.
And when you fall down from hanging down, you would only have a 10-foot drop too.
Okay. That's what we
Doing it.
Spaghetti legs, arms, let's go. So Brutrik, Sharptooth, you only take 1 damage as you land on the chair. And
You should have ran for the master chair because it's cushioned.
yeah, Brutrik, you take 3.
Okay.
So, without seeing anything to absorb that's living, the cubes just start to go about their business, cleaning up all the remains on the table, clean up all the crumbs, all the food that didn't get eaten.
There's a couple of uneaten fruits, so they've got like the gelatin with the little fruit inside suspended in the middle of it.
Yeah. It looks pretty delicious, but it starts to dissolve and turn all bubbly, so you probably wouldn't like that. And you can easily climb down the legs of the chair, down to the floor.
We'll do that. Come on, Simon, I'll catch ya. Oh god, now I want to make like gelatin with like skeleton dem bones candy in the middle.
I am
of it,
already
like
in the process of looking for something to 3D print to allow me to make a Jello mold of a gelatinous cube.
I actually have 4 WizKid mini gelatinous cubes because I kept getting them for one Christmas.
I feel like we have to go all the way back to the mouse hole room.
Oh gosh, all the way down the stairs. Ah, how are we gonna get on? Oh, we need. Does anybody know remove curse?
No.
How about enlarge reduce?
Also,
Or
no.
specifically the enlarge part. All right, so we gotta figure out what to do. I will. On a more serious note, is anybody good with hitting things at a distance? So is anybody good with ranged weapons?
Brutrik has used throwing knives before.
So Brutrik being a monk, you probably have a high dexterity.
Yeah, I only have 15 plus 2.
Sure.
Okay.
What was your
Are you? What kind of weapons are you proficient with? Look at your proficiencies in the bottom left.
Probably simple.
Yeah.
Now, quick question: Can we
I was looking at that. Oh, go ahead.
can we assume that before Brutrik ended up deciding not to fight them, could he have picked up a few of the toothpicks?
Yes, I'll allow that.
Spears.
He's like a week later.
You notice when at Azkaban came over from the table, he knocked some stuff on the floor. He's a clumsy oaf.
That works.
And,
So anyway, just finish looking that up. What I'll say before you continue, Joey, is that I will offer my sling that I managed to keep and sling bullets that I have from the confiscated Bart Simpson kid. If you need to hit things from a distance, you're probably good with this stuff.
Sharptooth actually has higher dex than Brutrik.
That's for shredding on the base.
Sharp tooth. Do you know how to use one of these? And I hold up the sling. It's a simple ranged weapon.
So you do find a single toothpick that fell on the ground. That is equivalent of a javelin. So you can add a javelin to your inventory.
Who I can use a javelin, but does anybody else want that? I'll let me hold on to the javelin, and I'll offer my sling. I'll offer the sling to either Brutrik or Sharptooth. They are both proficient with simple weapons, so they would be able to use it much better than I can.
Okay, I guess. God, I'm just so ticked off right now.
I don't see how we're gonna find the dragons being so small.
Like, dragons are going to be the size of actual dragons if we find them at this size.
Do you suppose his butler would be willing to to assist?
It probably wants to kill us.
He's probably in on it, honestly. He's probably one of, like... maybe that what the butler was, like, a previous dinner guest? And he just turned him invisible.
I was hoping you'd say otherwise.
I mean, I could still say otherwise. Yes, he would. Does that make you feel better?
A bit.
Just so
Don't worry, Simon. This will just be like a library class. You and me, and these two, our lab partners.
Absolutely not at all. Let's get going. Jeez.
Just to reiterate, you are about 1/12 the size you were, so
yeah.
The size of action
Simon,
figures.
Yeah, you're basically the size of an action figure. Simon, you're between 5 and 6 inches tall. Brutrik and Konan, you're more like 7 or 8. But poor Sharptooth is only 3 or 4.
Small, tiny.
So, like, can we sneak under the door? Out of the dining room?
So, you notice that you could quite easily fit under either of these doors that are on either side of the room.
Now, what's-his-face went through the left door, correct? Or which door did he go through? The wizard. Our host.
I said yes. Yes.
Sorry, it didn't come through. So turning to the group, what do we do if we just leave? We're just gonna be small, and then we're gonna be eaten by, I don't know, rats.
Well, I'm hoping that there's a duration for whatever happened to us. We could possibly try to wait it out somewhere safe.
Do any
Go ahead.
Do any of you think potentially all those little rat rooms in the bottom were potentially people our size? Or do you think it's just a bunch of rats that'll come out and kill us?
Well, they did have doors on them, and rats don't have opposable thumbs, so possibly.
Do they?
I mean, they maybe have opposable digits, but probably not doorknob turnable.
Yeah. So,
Everyone, give me a perception check.
We can also try these double doors, and we have no idea.
Dumbledore?
Secrets of Dumbledore, the newest movie in the Fantastic Beasts franchises.
Snape, Severus Snape.
I'm gonna vote double doors.
Okay, so these double doors right here, I don't know why they're on the map. They don't go anywhere. Maybe it's a
Balcony.
Window
balcony
maybe.
outside or something. Yeah.
Oh.
But everyone's so small you can't notice anything special about the room at this point.
Alright, so our options are to pursue the giant wizard, or retreat to the room with mouse holes that was really weird. He did say we're going to be part of the experiment, and he's probably watching us right now, because I don't think he wanted us to be eaten by those smiley cubes.
Unless that was the experiment.
Yes, well, we passed. We failed.
Even if we found him, what will we do?
Yeah, that's the other thing.
Swear, I know one place I'm gonna stick my whole self when I find him.
Where?
I am not explaining it if you don't know what it is.
I'll have to read about it later then.
I can get you some real good magazines on that.
I do like any sort of periodicals, so okay.
I really think we should go back to the room with the rat holes.
Speaking of all this whole stuff, I think I'm good with that now.
Yeah. I agree. At least we can at least like regroup and figure out what to do next.
Agreed.
Take out my I sort of like spin the steak knife a little bit as like a little flourish and be like, all right, let's go.
Right, is anyone else picking up
What else
any
is there?
fallen utensils?
Sharptooth, I don't think they can pick up anything, especially. Is there a corn cob holder?
Corn cob holder?
Yeah.
Dagger.
Actually,
cob
probably
holder
closer would. No, not quite a trident. Maybe a trident.
That's the fork.
Now, when you say corn cob holder, you mean like one of those glass things that holds a corn on the cob?
No, there's like these little tiny forks.
Or they're like giant thumbtacks.
Yeah, it's like a big thumbtack.
Yeah.
You stab them into the ends, so you don't have to hold it.
I'm getting a picture.
Yeah.
It's a northern thing, apparently.
Well, it's just
Oh.
the only thing I think would be like size-wise, even
Oh.
for.
Joey, you probably know them as maze cob holders.
Oh my goodness, no. May.
Oh yes, maize cob holders. When I eat a corn on the cob, it's I just pick it up with my hands.
Yeah, no, I think it's. I don't know why they actually exist. It's so there you don't burn your hands on the corn.
Yeah.
Sharptooth, how will you give me a investigation as you look for something to pick up?
Investigation?
Yeah. Say you do come across a piece of silverware that fell on the ground when the wizard knocked the table, and you see a fork.
Is it a dessert fork? The smaller one?
It'll almost be like you're wielding a trident.
Yeah. The trident that's probably twice my height.
Good enough.
For the sake of this, you'll wield it like a normal weapon.
Trident.
Yeah. You ask Konan to snap it in half for you, and be the strong man that he is, he's able to break metal.
Oh, jeez, you're good for something. Thank you so much.
I will say that the trident is a martial weapon, so you may not be proficient with it.
Crossbow, hand, longsword, rapier, short sword, simple weapons. Yeah.
Yeah, so either way, you have my sling, if nothing else.
Yes.
I will let you, if you want to improvise,
I'll do it.
try to find something that's more suitable for like a short sword or something like that.
I would say that she'd be like, no, I'm not proficient in forks. Never use them.
I barely know what this thing is.
Oh look, an earwax remover.
Oh, it's like a thingamabob. Little Mermaid?
Yeah.
Can Brutrik look for something to wrap his hands so he could potentially punch? I guess for later. If there's like aluminum foil or something.
Fantasy version of aluminum foil.
Yeah, that's foil.
Napkin, maybe a nice napkin fell off.
Gameplay-wise, you just
normally.
you have arm strike. You just use your fists, but yeah, you can take a bit of napkin.
All right.
Fill on the floor.
Let's go.
Yeah, I'm ready to head out under that door, back through this mansion.
Which way you heading?
East.
East.
I'm gonna backtrack to the mouse hole room.
Okay. So, you're pretty easily able to get underneath the doors. For the bigger fellas, you kind of have to squeeze through a little bit. Find yourself in the hallway you were before. But the perspective is extremely different.
So this is
But
what
you
it's like
see-
for all the halflings and gnomes and goblins and kobolds and...
So this is not what it's like every day. Okay? This is what?
I have been taller than like everybody except this guy I met named Davy. He was a Goliath. He was taller than me.
I will admit, this is a lot different than literally every day of my life. Alright. Let's be careful, I guess, as we go back to this mansion. Brutrik would like to, as stealthily as possible, go back the way they came.
Okay. So as you enter the hallway, the hallway continues on. End tables stretch high like majestic plateaus on either side. A group of rats have gathered in a circular formation, seemingly to discuss a matter of some import. You notice they are encircling 2 mice and a badly injured squirrel. So these things weren't here before. They obviously came in when you were having dinner. But you hear quite plainly the rats are speaking a very broken form of common.
What?
And you hear in high-pitched voice, the rats go, "So what should we do with them? They'll just go tell the druid. We should kill them now and take their squirrel."
Those
And you hear the mice not speaking common, but speaking in squeaks, but complex squeaks.
guys, we gotta help out those mice. There's talking rats over there that know someone.
So there's rats, mice, and an injured squirrel. Is that how it is?
Injured squirrel.
Rat's mice, injured squirrel. Okay.
Yes, just give me a moment to comprehend this.
If we let the mice go, they'll tell the druid.
Who's the
Don't
druid?
want that. What? All the mice turn around.
No, the rats turn around.
Everyone turns around.
Hey there. Just wondering who's the druid you're talking about.
Sharptooth does not know what a whisper is.
One of the rats starts jerking its head and goes, Master found new playthings. I do like when he gives us new little guests.
What?
I think they're going to attack us. Get ready your toothpicks! Oh, ready my ward of knives.
One of the rats see you arm yourself, and he goes, So eager to battle?
Being defensive is not battle.
Oh, we have no reason. We have no reason to harm you. It's the mice that are the trespassing on our upper floors. They're spies. The spy squirrel.
Secret
The mouse just goes squeak, 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 squeak. Shut up, you!
I have no idea what's going on right now. And that's just meeting you guys.
What exactly did that one just say?
Begging for their lives.
I think that's a good idea. You should let them live.
But they'll just go tell the druid downstairs.
The druid
Where we
can't.
are.
Well,
Then, leave?
We can't let them leave. They'll tell the druid.
are you sure there's a
Will be
druid?
upset.
Are you sure there's a druid downstairs? I didn't see a druid. Where would the druid even be?
Was he where the garden is?
Yeah.
He goes, she lives in the green place.
Okay, that's all I need. Now step away from the mice, and I will, step forward and, point the knife at them.
Saying, you are new to our home.
Yes,
You should
and,
know well to avoid us. We are servants of the Master, and you do not want us as enemies. Let us...
Good.
We'll simply remove these pests and allow you on your way.
Brutrik runs over to try to get in between some of the rats and the mice to protect them. Hey now, we can all just get along, okay? No need to get rid of anyone.
Kind of bare their teeth. And he goes, do not meddle in our affairs.
I'm sorry.
Nice! Run while they're distracted!
I cannot stand by and let someone be bullied by a large group. It's just not right.
Yeah, there's 4 of us and 3 of you. We're going to stop you from bullying.
By bullying you.
But tell you bullying is wrong. By bullying you. Alright. As I set up this encounter.
If only we had a druid with us. That would have been really helpful.
Maybe we can go say hi to the druid.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, they actually gained the spells that you asked about earlier.
So Brutrik will not instigate a fight. He's just going to stand defensively around Mice.
Just taking the dodge action before combat starts.
Is there like dirt and crap on the floor I could put in a sling? Like,
I gave you sling bullets as well, so
okay.
You have ammunition.
Or they're just crumbs from the table.
Yeah, I was thinking of that too. If we didn't have any, I'd be like, oh, let's just get some of the crumbs.
That's perfectly fine. Yeah, use some crumbs as rocks. Well, this seems being weird. Okay. For initiative.
Right, squirrel.
Roll initiative.
Maybe one more thing forward, because I already said I kind of like stepped forward and was threatening.
Everyone roll.
Yep. Oh, I have.
Oh, sorry.
Music.
This formation is known as a mouse wheel.
Yeah.
It's okay if you didn't roll, Simon, because one.
One.
They're trying to turn the squirrel into a rat king.
So the rats go. Well, Brutrik's first. So what do you do?
Brutrik will. I think it's like beat up everyone.
See, does flurry of blows? It can attack a different person, or is that?
I believe Flurry of Blows just gives you 2 more attacks, so you should... I'll double check.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if I can re-aim it after.
You usually can with
Ability.
multi-attacks, but sometimes they say if you attack something, you may... I'll just double check. Because rules!
Click on the ability. It'll put it in the window here, so we can read it.
I think you can use it for anything.
Yep, you gain 2 more attacks, so they don't have to be at the... Two more unarmed strike attacks as a bonus action, so they don't have to be at the same.
Yeah. Since it uses a key point, it's pretty open-ended.
Yeah.
Because then I would like to.
So instead of 1 unarmed strike, you can take 2. Okay.
No, it's 3. The regular action and then 2 for the bonus action.
I meant as a bonus action.
Right.
The Brutrik is gonna move in closer and attack the rat on his right for his first unarmed strike.
Crit.
Nice.
Does it hit?
Oh yeah, it does hit 25.
Yeah, crits automatically hit.
Okay.
Oh no!
Not a very strong hit, but
It didn't. It looks like it didn't roll the 1d4 twice. So roll it one more time, because it looks like it only rolled 1 of the dice. Add another 1d4 to it, so that would be a total of 5 damage to calculate for you, Joey. You don't have to think.
be 8 damage because it's a crit, right?
No, because you don't get the you just roll a second die or double the die. You don't get double proficiency bonus or modifier bonus. So it's just 2d4 plus 3. She rolled a 1 both times, so it's just 5 damage.
But they rolled 4.
The actual die was a 1 if you hover over it.
Well, I mean, they rolled 2 4s, so wouldn't that be an 8 at least?
They didn't roll 2 4s, they rolled 2 1s. Each of them added 3 to it because that's their modifier.
Oh.
Yeah, hover over the number, it shows you what they rolled.
That's my first attack.
Remember, if you hit the icon to the left of everything, it'll roll your attack roll and your damage at the same time.
The fencing.
Ready to make another attack?
Yes, I'm going to be using 3 blows, spending my 1. To be honest,
Attacking? What's going on?
I don't use that thing because my screen is really... I have a 13-inch screen.
Oh, okay.
Everything on there is really kind of like messed up, so I kind of use the spreadsheet, sorry, the game sheet because of that.
So, flurry of blows just means you do 2 unarmed strikes. It's not
Two
actually an
additional,
attack, right?
2 additional unarmed strikes.
So this one is to attack the same rat again, and then I'm going to switch over and attack the rat on the left for the last flurry, the last attack.
Oh yeah, you
The
can
one
do
that
that.
you attacked. The one that you attacked is looking hurt.
Then, how do I roll the second attack then? Do I just, or did it already?
One more
Same.
attack.
Yeah, same thing. It's another just straight up attack.
15 hits, 7 damage.
The crit did the least amount of damage.
Yep. The rats go, these newcomers are feisty. One comes.
Brutrik ends his turn, yeah.
One of the rats run over.
Doesn't find out what I'm doing right now.
Does the
Takes a
mouse
bite.
get an attack of opportunity?
The mouse is too scared.
Fair enough.
It's like cowering.
Yeah.
Does a 14 hit you, Brutrik?
Yes, it does.
Okay. You take 9 piercing damage.
No.
That was a good roll.
No.
Konan.
So I only have 9 left. So if anyone,
Wants to do anything.
yeah,
I'm gonna come up to here and I'm gonna attack the one that looks very hurt
Okay.
with my steak knife. It's a 12 hit.
12 misses.
I'm not used to the health is very heavy.
it's not properly balanced.
I know, right? And I did not rage because I used one of them earlier. I didn't want to waste it on some rats, so I will have to end my turn.
like 2 damage that it didn't cause. Doesn't seem so bad now. But it's going to the one that you tried to attack, Konan. It's going to take a bite at you at 23 hits.
Oof.
Takes 10 piercing damage. Right, Sharptooth.
I'm watching my only friends being eaten alive. I am going to leave. I think I'm going to do Healing Word to Brutrik. 60 feet.
And a bonus action.
Yeah. So, absolutely Healing Word on Brutrik. Please. It's only 6.
More than
6 is good.
Then for a bonus action, I'm going to do, in space of my Bardic Inspiration, I'm going to use, what the hell is that called?
I think Bardic Inspiration uses your bonus action.
It's a thing instead of, Mantle of Inspiration, that's what I'm going to use. So in place of using, as a bonus action, spend 1 of the Bardic Inspiration to grant 5 temporary HP points up to 2 creatures.
You've already used your bonus action, however, for Healing Word.
Is that just, wasn't that my action?
No, that's your bonus action. You still have your action.
Yeah, Healing Word is actually a bonus action.
Oh.
Usually says if it's a bonus action.
I get it now.
Yeah, Healing Touch is an action. Healing Word is a bonus action, which is it's less HP and it's ranged, but it's bonus action.
I guess I'm gonna try the sling at the rat that's near Konan. I could do that, I suppose.
I would say aim for this one, since this has less health.
I'm gonna try and go past Conan's head.
go in between Konan and Brutrik.
Yeah, to nail that rat. How should I go about this? I did not put.
So the sling is just a ranged weapon. Just go ahead and make a dexterity check with your proficiency bonus. So just add 2 to whatever your dexterity roll is.
Oh, do you
check, not the
know
save?
How to?
That's the one on the top?
Yes. So plus 2 would be a 15.
15 hits. You don't know how to add items?
Nope.
Put your inventory.
Okay, sorry, I should have asked that when you got it.
But just to get this over with, it's going to be just roll a 1d4 and add your dexterity modifier, which is a plus 4. So go ahead and roll a 1d4 and add 4.
5 then.
Damage?
5.
You only roll a 1? So,
Roll the 1, but then if
enough,
the is added to it, then
Yeah.
it'd be.
so the little pebble, little breadcrumb, hits the rat right between the eyes. He goes, squeak! Falls over.
Yeah, got an item.
Give a
Look,
thumbs up to
let's
Sharptooth
go.
and say, that's exactly what I expected Delinquent to be able to do.
I don't know what a delinquent is, but people keep calling me it.
Words.
5 goals worth. Okay, I did equip the sling as well, so.
Continues to cower. But the one on the other end takes a bite to the rat above him. But she's just too scared. It doesn't, just like he's shaking too much for it to be any threat. So this rat that Brutrik hit once stands on its hind legs. You notice that it's wearing a little piece of string around it, like a belt, and there is a sling attached to it. And it reaches into picks it up with oddly human-like hands. And it's going to take a aim at Sharptooth. 20 gonna hit. Sharptooth takes 5 damage.
5 bludgeoning damage.
Yeah, bludgeoning. I had to do this by hand.
No, it's fine.
Ah, jeez. Oh, that's smarted. Oh.
They're breadcrumbs. He actually has a little shard of rock. There, I fixed it.
These rats are feeling a lot more like altered mutant rats than they did before.
Only Rat King were here.
They go in the next room and they've got some turtles to take care of.
Yeah.
Oh my!
Just scale down a turtle and then it works.
One does the same with its sling, but tries to hit you, Simon. For 5, it misses.
It uses a piece of cheese by accident and it's too soft to do any damage, so...
Yeah. My cheese!
Ah!
Simon.
Simon cowers and ends up. Let's see, how far of a range is that?
You can easily hit anyone, I imagine.
I was looking at radiuses. I don't want to do that. Well. Yeah, I'm gonna cast sleep, and it is going to be on basically in a radius to hit those 2 rats.
Nice.
Going to be more than enough. They're both put to sleep.
They have no more than 13 HP each.
You card counter.
Dice counter.
That's it.
Right, Brutrik.
I'm a mathematician.
Tomorrow.
I think I'm just gonna use unarmed strike to the one beside Konan. That just makes sense.
Um,
7, I assume, doesn't hit.
Good thing
Yes,
my
please.
bonus action of unarmed strike probably will.
I'm sorry, dude. You guys having a hard time hearing me?
And sometimes when you say probably like one word, it doesn't come through at all, so we don't hear it. I've noticed that over many times talking to you, actually. I'm guessing it just doesn't pick up. Yeah.
shall speak into the mic.
Ah!
It's just that the other. I'm looking at my other monitor, so my voice, I know, away from the mic. So
that's what I figured.
Yeah.
right, you do another attack.
Yeah. So I'm gonna do for my bonus action an unarmed attack again. Okay. Oh, I think this one's gonna be
22
better.
hits. Not damage wise though.
Back.
All that beautiful ones.
Yeah.
Say
So
you have soft fists like a mouse.
They're not usually this small, okay?
Usually
I
they're
voiced
much
your
bigger.
honors.
Snap. Back at you.
Will be the end of my turn.
Take 4 piercing damage as it snaps at you. Its rat teeth. I just realized that you can see my rolls, so I can't fudge them.
You can hide them.
Good. I do that per creature.
No. Soft teeth. Ow!
And
Well, I got you, Brutrik. Maybe take out my steak knife and I rear back, and I will do even worse than the first time. I fall backwards a little bit. Oh, crap! And I'm going to pivot over here to get flanking. That'll be my turn because barbarians don't get to do much.
you basically hit stuff.
Yeah, they only get to kill everything.
Sharptooth.
Just going to yeah, I'm gonna do a sling at the one that's still awake. Sling.
Swing.
Swing.
Bounces off my greatsword.
Put a sling +1 into your thing.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, I must have.
That means it's a magic sling. You do not have a magic sling.
I do not.
That is a miss.
I will fix the sling. In my haste, I did that.
This one sees that little mouse, seeing that most of the rats are now asleep, goes squeak, squeak, squeak. We'll run up to this one. Try to bite it. 10 misses.
The worst miniature people ever.
I'm telling you, if our fists were just bigger, this wouldn't be a problem.
I know.
Now
Drop my
misses.
books on it. Maybe they're right. Maybe we are weak animals. Minds.
Oh wow, it's already my turn.
Simon.
I will.
Combat's a lot faster when you're level 3, huh?
I'll use a firebolt on that one. 22. Ooh, 10 damage.
Smell of burnt rat hair. Fills your nose as it goes up in flames. And you just hear it scream going, "Ah! The little one knows fire!" You've made an enemy of the rats this day!
Oh, oh dear.
Nobody ever tell Rat King what just happened here today.
Oh,
So I think we should all run because those two are asleep.
And not for too long as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna stand by them, and if one of them wakes up, I will freaking attack.
We just run away before that even happens.
Yeah, let's go. Bring us to the druid.
Please.
Yeah, please.
They kind of like tilt their head like they don't understand you.
Oh god. Does anyone? I go through all the languages I speak. I just say it in all the languages I speak. I say it in Common. I say it in Draconic. I say it in Dwarvish. I say it in Elvish. I say it in Gnomish. I say it in Halfling, and then I say it in Undercommon.
They just look at you and like they start like talking to each other like.
Oh, if only I had more. Wait. Yes, I think I. Give me a moment. I think I have a. Well, okay, I don't have it with me, but Mark.
Yes.
I still have that tome from that other wizard, right?
Yes.
Is it within the I would I be able
if
to
you want to see if you want to use a spell in his book?
As a ritual.
So the rules is that you have to copy it to your spell book before you can use it as anything. However, Joey, if you want to supersede that as just a let him be able to do it for this adventure, that's up to you.
So I can you retroactively do it, but you never said in game that you're copying down stuff from a spell.
Correct, because that costs money.
Don't you have a discount or something like that?
Yeah, but it's still
You're
like
saving up
gold.
to open a tavern.
Yeah. Yeah, scrimping and saving. Okay, never mind then.
You haven't had the chance to copy down the.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't
Copy
think
down
it
the
would have
book.
worked anyway because I just I remembered that I think one of the spells is comprehend languages.
Yeah, it's not speak with animals, it's comprehend language.
Yeah,
So
so,
depending
never
on
mind.
how Joey would roll that, so
Could Sharptooth do like an interpretive dance to like explain what the heck's going on?
So as Conan is like going through the languages, the other mouse kind of tries to get the squirrel up to its feet. And then the mouse looks at Sharptooth like dancing around. And he does a little dance back. And they both hop on the back of the squirrel, who's looking a little better now. They go squeak, 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 squeak. And the squirrel darts off in the direction of the stairway that you came up in.
after that squirrel.
Yeah, we follow them.
Follow them. They're sleeping.
Oh yeah.
But if we have enough time before those things wake up, I'm going to tie the two rats' tails together.
Can you try them
Okay,
all
give me-
together?
Don't do that. You'll only give them more power.
Yeah. They'll double their power. They'll be the real Rat King. The beginnings of our real Rat King. Give me a sleight of hand.
Ooh. I have +4 sleight of hand.
Yeah, it's an 8 for me.
Conan accidentally creates the BBEG of the series.
Double rat.
As you try to tie the two together, they kind of wake up with a start. They take a quick look at their surroundings, see two of their comrades dead. And,
You're
you know,
next, I say.
I go, Ratico will hear of this! And they all dart off.
Ratigo.
That is the stupidest name I ever heard.
No, Sharptooth, don't judge. I mean, they are rats. Makes sense.
Squirrel! We have the Squirrel Express.
Oh, yeah.
They're running, yeah.
As you know, that the interesting thing about squirrels, and I have this in one of my favorite nature books, as I look up information.
So, just so you know, you can move your token
Oh,
as a
okay.
group.
I cannot.
Oh, sorry. I can't.
I should have put it on all players.
I can't move any of them.
Nope, nary a move. Does Simon
Well,
have
let
the
me put
power?
it. Have one now.
Nope, can't move that one either. Weird. Oh, you know what? By all players, did you give the party?
Can be edited and controlled by all players.
Yeah. Oh, the actual token. You probably need to say all players or something on it. Like double click on the token.
Oh, maybe. Hold on. Maybe you need to. Yeah, maybe you need to.
Yeah.
It's usually not a problem with like player tokens.
Because usually it's just one person, so it's automatically just says that. So, nope. You just move it for us, Joey.
Make you do the work.
I'll do one more thing. There. I just clicked everyone's names. How about now?
You know,
Nope.
I can move one if I can anybody move the one that I just added?
Nope.
I need to read it.
Well, let's just make Joey do it.
Yeah, Joey, you do
Whatever.
all the work, Joey.
So, do you follow the squirrel who
Yeah.
ran towards the stairs? So as you turn the corner, you see that the squirrel is very nimbly jumping across this carpet in seemingly random directions. But now that you're seeing this from a different perspective, little holes seem much deeper than they were. They're actually going into the wooden floor somewhat. Let's see here.
Shouldn't be a problem. Just don't go in the holes.
Oh my god, something stupid is going to totally come out of these.
Ah,
The thrash carpet runs the length of this hallway. It's a pity to see it in such a state of ruin, as it was likely a near masterpiece when it was first loomed. Now it is pockmarked by countless stains, frays, and scorch marks of unknown origin.
Scorch marks are making me.
I'm like 60% sure this isn't a rug of smothering, and that makes me a little better. Feel a little better.
I guess. There's burn marks everywhere. This looks like it belongs in my heap.
Well, didn't you want one for your tavern?
Yeah. Well, okay.
Is your tavern going to be one of those places that you can like throw peanuts on the floor?
What are you talking about?
There's some places that you can go where they have peanuts at the table, and you eat the peanuts and you throw the shells on the floor.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, I love those
That
places.
sounds unsanitary.
They're just shells. They clean them up afterwards. They don't leave them there.
Well, we would be the ones cleaning them up. Or
Well, not me.
probably me.
You have that unseen servant you used for carrying all your books.
Yes, it's been quite helpful.
Oh, there you go. Just get him to do it, or her.
Brutrik's gonna start walking forward, sort of to like protect, like to look out for things coming out, and so this is his first little movement to here.
So you move to right about here.
Okay.
And you get eaten.
Get eaten by a carpet monster. Give me a perception check. Yeah, and as you get close, you notice the space right next to you, right here, that the carpet, like the threads, have been eaten away by what looks like acid. And you look down, and there is a in your perspective, about an 8-foot deep, basically an acid pit where something is eaten away. Maybe it's acid at the carpet and the floor.
Oh boy, this just got a lot worse.
That's not good. I'm
What?
going to take out my toothpick as I walk, and you like a walking cane, and I'm just gonna like poke it in every place before I step onto it.
Yeah, you're just basically gonna walk in a straight line.
I'll follow Brutrik. Actually, I will. Yeah, you know what? I will check the place in front of me, and I'll check the place in front of me, and I'll move up to where.
I will say, since you have when your toothpicks is like a checking the floor, that you can do your perception at advantage.
Okey-doke. One. Hey, even worse. 5.
Seems fine.
Doesn't really give any instructions about how to do this, but are you guys just basically going to start just moving ahead?
Yeah,
in a
just
straight
basically, just basically until we find something or fall into something, just keep moving ahead, or
Around.
single file behind somebody else.
Well, let me know which one.
Who wants to go here? If you give me a little bit of healing, I can go first. Anybody? Does anybody have like a healing potion or?
I think I'm all out of
Actually, I do. So I'll give that to him.
Thank you.
I have this disguise.
Ooh, 7. Okay. And I will take points, checking each square ahead of time. So if you want me to just tell me how many squares you want me to move, and then I can do while I'm checking as I go, Joey.
Yeah.
So my movement is 30 feet. So if you want me in a round, I'll move up 6 squares and check as I go. If you want me to give you more checks or whatever, let me know.
Sorry, I messed something up like an idiot.
That's okay. Here, I'm gonna use the restroom while you fix it.
Did anyone here play Final Fantasy X2 by chance?
Final Fantasy Barbie, yes.
Do you remember where you had to massage?
Yes, with the very weird choices for audio cues.
It was I got stuck on that for half an hour because I didn't figure it out. So that's what I'm remembering right now. Is this the idea of like there's the good and the bad ones? So I'm personally not very good at these puzzles.
Gonna do a single file line.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
I was
back.
cross numbers.
Hey, Mark, give me a perception check.
Flat roll or with advantage?
You're checking ahead of you, so with advantage.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, come on, roll advantage. Oh, even better. Natural 20 for a 22.
So you stop right around here. You notice a pit in front of you.
I will. God, pit right here. Why am I whispering? Pit right here.
Maybe that pit has something in it.
No, this is probably acid. I will take out a tiny bit of ink I have from my ink bottle and mark it on the floor so we know where it is.
Anybody else think it's weird that didn't notice this on the way in?
I mean, our feet are bigger than all of these things at normal size, so it's not too weird.
You did notice that the rug had like burn marks and little holes in it when you walked across.
So I'll tell Simon and Sharptooth to follow me single file, because if I haven't fallen into something, you guys likely aren't going to fall into something. And I will...
So you guys know, this is all the Tomb of Horror is, basically.
Pretty much.
Finding traps.
Oh yeah, this is classic D&D.
Yeah.
And walk 5 feet, search for traps. Walk 5 feet, search for traps.
So that's pretty much what I'll be doing this turn, really.
So yeah, okay.
Roll another perception check.
There we go. I'm happy with that. 17.
Nice.
You notice another pit right in front of you right there.
Well, I will ink the hell out of it again. And I will pin you up like this.
Fully avoided the traps. You know, I think I had this upside down because there's more of it near the top than the bottom. But you have successfully navigated around here.
Yeah, I mean, in any case, I'm gonna fail at some point or something.
At this point, you have remembered the path forward.
Hooray! We're immune to the rug.
Yep.
This time.
Yeah, this is definitely upside down because there's like a lot more places you could accidentally walk into at first than at the bottom here. That's fine.
We avoided getting carpet burn.
Now we have to traverse the next top thing, the stairs.
Do we still see the squirrel and so forth? Or know where they're going? Okay.
Actually, go to floor 1.
You restart the music, Joey? I had to refresh. Oh, there it goes. Never mind. New map.
I think we just gotta head for the door with the garden in it.
That was what, down south? I'll once we get to like the little landing over here, I'll just make we'll just get there. We'll just search around the room, see if there are any more rats or people or the invisible butler.
See no signs of the butler. The room, you see the map, but the room that you basically enter the mansion from was over here. You see double doorways here, doorway here. And you see the slightest hint of weeds growing underneath the door from the music room. Well, spoiler, I guess, sorry.
I think the weeds door.
Yeah, let's head in there if there's a druid in there. I mean, druids have magic.
Maybe he can make us bigger again. I really don't like being this small.
Like me, how do you deal with this, like being this size, base race?
Oh my goodness, this is the second time I've told you. I also got shrunk, if you didn't notice.
Honestly, all small things look the same, right, Brutrik?
Brutrik isn't even paying attention.
I'm sorry, I really want to get in that door.
Alright, let's go to the door.
So, hey, it looks like a music room. What do you know? Elegant, soft furnishings, exquisitely carved furniture, and expensive musical instruments all sit upon woven carpets. Rich curtains and drapes give a feeling of great luxury. Set against the finest trappings of the upper class, nature has reasserted itself. This room is overgrown with creeping vines, flowers, and weeds, despite there being no obvious way in, let alone any way to take root. You're surprised when a few moments later, you notice dandelions stroll about aimlessly. So these little dandelions are walking around on their roots.
Well, that's kind of creepy.
Cute. Actually,
Do they want to kill us? Do they want to help us? What do we think here?
Sharktooth, can you play any of these instruments? Like, I mean, if you were normal size. I mean, normal small size. I've never seen your concerts. I just want to know. I'm trying to make conversation. I'm not very good at it.
I think he's a nervous talker, Sharktooth.
How is any of this relevant to what's going on around us?
Look. I'm just saying. Christmas is coming up, and you seem like a really good friend, and I wanted to see what kind of instruments to get you when you're normal size. There I said.
If it helps, if we survive this, I've got a book on how to make small conversation. I could.
You're the one who had that checked out.
So do we ask the dandelions for help? Or do we just kind of sneak around them?
Do the dandelions look violent?
So
they're like violent
Not
violets?
at the moment.
Okay.
Not at the moment. They're just kind of. They pause for a moment when they sense you, but then they just continue to walk across the room.
No. Dandelions are yellow. Violets are purple.
Can I see if there's any like druidic footprints around of some sort? Anything that is not, anything that is not dandelions walking around? Can I see any non-dandelion footprints? Make a check for that.
Well, doesn't take long for you to see that the squirrel that you rescued earlier, kind of resting near one of the walls. And you see another.
I found him. Follow the trail of nuts.
And you see another miniature person tending to it.
Hello. ISA. Calls out.
Hello.
See the young,
what's your conversation book say?
The young woman kind of turns around. She kind of has a staff in her hand, and she kind of wields it at you, not in a threatening manner, but in a defensive manner. And she goes, "Who goes there?"
I don't know, like 4 people that got conned by that jerk upstairs.
"Oh, you're the latest victims, aren't you?" She kind of puts the staff back down. She goes, "Well, welcome to the mansion."
Sorry to have startled you. Is your friend there badly injured?
Oh, the rats didn't like him snooping on the second floor.
We saw. We assisted with scaring them off.
I tell Nutters not to go up there, but he does anyway.
What's he looking for up there?
Oh, it's just like to keep her eye on the rats and to see what he's up to.
What?
But he kind of stands out.
That guy?
I mean, you must have met him.
Yes. Yeah, he
I
seems
saw you come through. I saw you come through the sitting room some time ago. You head up the stairs.
Is Nakul the big wizard guy who hoaxed us? Because that's not the name he gave us.
No, that's his name. Acoole was his
cool.
last name.
Gotcha.
Yeah, you would have. Yeah, Mr. Alscabani Cool. Every few months, he seems to have new visitors come, and he ends up shrinking them.
Do you have any way to, well, unshrink us?
She laughs. Please.
Is that a yes?
I would have used it years ago if I could have.
Well, you've been here
But
for
you know
years.
what? I kind of like it here in this room. He never comes here.
Yes.
So I've kind of made it my domain. Oh, I'm sorry. Where are my manners? My name's Iora.
Are you the druid?
Not guilty as charged. I do what I can. I can't create forests. But I can, from my perspective, create a forest of weeds and grass and my dandelion friends.
Yes, that was, not gonna lie, a little creepy, but they seem kind of cool.
Very cute.
Yeah.
Tyr says that you saved him from the rats.
But we couldn't just let them kill him. That just wasn't nice.
To be fair, I missed a lot, but, I helped in spirit.
You were very good moral support, Konan.
Well, gee golly, Brutrik, thank you.
She
Right.
notices the steak knife on your back and goes, oh, that's very intuitive. Some people get shrunk and they don't take anything, and there's hidden giant rats with their bare hands, and that's no good.
Well, at least they're hitting them, to be fair.
So
I had trouble with their hands.
you said you've been this way for years. That means this is permanent.
She says, well, to answer your first question, when Ekul first moved into this mansion, in my younger days, well, I don't want to say this.
No,
Okay,
hold
ever
on,
since
don't
I lived in the forest near here, I kept an eye on things. A wizard so close to the forest makes me nervous. And one day I ventured in because the most putrid smoke was coming from his chimneys, and I knew he dabbled in alchemy, but I knew this couldn't be good for the forest or the animals. And
the people.
he was quite charming and invited me in, served me a meal of salad, no meats, and before I knew it, I was the size of a doll, like you are. He used this wicked cackle, and said his mixture was a success. I believe I was his first victim.
Oh,
So,
Are there others around that may have survived the rats all these years?
well, you're the first little ones I've seen in months.
Months.
Occasionally, a party would survive long enough for me to meet them, but they usually don't tend to last long.
Can you tell us anything else about the house? Maybe where his laboratory is? I don't know. Maybe we can reverse alchemy? I've got a lot of books on alchemy.
Indeed, he must have some way to reverse it.
She goes, well, yes, to answer your second question, he has boasted about having an antidote. And he keeps it in a tower on the far end of the manor.
Of course.
Oh, that's gonna be like a mile away.
It'd be quite a hike.
Well, I, for one, am not gonna be a small fry for the rest of my life.
Me neither.
I'm just, I don't know much about the entrance. Just, it is hidden. And when when he enters it, he enters some notes on a piano. But I've never been one for music, so I don't know how to recreate it.
Oh my gosh! What do you need?
Well, he must have a copy of the sheet music somewhere in the manor.
Uh-oh.
Never been able to
Oh,
find it
great,
myself.
wonderful.
Yeah.
We're screwed.
And
She looks at you, Sharptooth, and goes, "Are you musically inclined?"
I'm so musically inclined. I am the best of the best of the bass.
Best of the bass.
The best of the best of the bass.
The bass.
Double check, make sure it's a piano. I'm pretty sure.
I could probably really rock the whole left side of that piano.
Maybe like one key at a time at this size.
Yeah.
Okay. So, retcon, rewind, zoo. It's actually a harp.
Even better.
That one?
I
Yes,
see
that
most
one. No.
Many people mix up the harp with a harpsichord, which is kind of like a piano. So, totally understand.
Okay. Rewind again. Zoo. It's actually a harpsichord.
Was it really?
Yeah. I thought it was the same thing as a harp, though. Harpsichord.
Think like the ones in cathedrals.
Okay, so yeah.
Yeah.
It's like if a harp and a piano had a baby. It is a harpsichord.
Man, I could really rock out the long strings on that harpsichord.
Yeah. So. See, I don't know anything about musical instruments.
You think you might have sheet music somewhere?
Or do you just have a general idea of the rhythm? I can probably figure it out. Yeah, can you hum it?
I can't keep a rhythm, keep a beat. They must have it somewhere here. A copy of it somewhere here in the manor, but I know the rats know where it is.
Well,
But
we
do
killed
not
half
trust
of them.
them. They don't. Yes, and I'm thankful you did not side with them, but they do know. I know they know secrets of the manor. And you don't notice that they can speak English and use their creepy little rat hands. But I urge you not to trust them because, well, one, they work for a Cool. They're their servants. They're his servants. And I know the rats are no fan of with me or the mice. The mice are good sorts. They don't know quite how to speak common quite yet. And if you side with the rats, they'll probably turn them against you some way.
I think they already screamed that we were enemies of the rats from this day forward.
Yeah, for what Nutters tells me, if they're probably not happy with you. But if I know if they can get you on your side, they may be able to overlook it. But they're not good sort.
No, I mean, who else would just kill a helpless little mouse and some troll and some mice? Just wasn't right. They're just kind of big bullies.
They are big bullies.
So Mark's power just went out,
Oh no.
and he's no longer in the Discord.
About a 3-hour mark. So this might be a good stopping point.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
Just having like a act of God endings.
Well, it's a good place to stop.
Yeah, we gotta go.
The rats got to him.
No,
There you go. The rats. Alright, yeah, so we'll stop here. But, Oyara will say that this is a safe spot that a Cool doesn't visit. Something about his ex-wife being a music lover.
Oh, I wonder why she left.
And she offers you kind of a sanctuary here, since you helped out Nutters.
yeah, Nutters.
She does say, I wouldn't linger any place for too long, because if a Cool senses you dilly-dallying, he'll send the cat after you.
Oh, there's like that cat from Cinderella.
Oh, this is even worse.
Cat.
It's like a magic cat.
Is it like
What's wrong with that? I quite fancy cats.
It's a cat made out of slime.
Oh,
You're going to notice a lot of slime in this place. He'll send his cat, send the rats after you. So I suggest, as a last resort, coming back to me if you need a place to rest.
Okay, I guess we'll look for those sheet music as best we can. I guess we'll have to take out, maybe even get some info from one of the rats. I feel bad knowing that we might have to get the information and being mean to a rat. But I really don't like being small.
We'll call it there.